Hey there, I'm Vanessa and welcome to my little podcast. Since this is my first podcast, I'll say something about myself. I'm a gamer. I like casual games like the Battle Cats, and I like hardcore games like Bloodborne. My favorite games are mostly RPG games like Final Fantasy, Mass Effect, Persona, or the Shin Megami Tensei series. In this episode, I'm going to discuss a few key points as to what makes a good game. Every game is unique, and there's a difference between casual and hardcore game titles. But in general, what makes a good game? For me, I think it's a good game if it makes you want to binge play it. I think it's a great game if it makes you join a fandom and make your own content like fan art or fan fiction about it. When you take apart a game, you have your visual content, your audio, and your story. So for this episode, I'm going to discuss what makes a good 3D console game. Let's start with the visuals. The best visuals give you immersions. When you're playing, you want to explore the world. Have you seen the newest Spider-Man game on a PS4? You can web sling like Spider-Man and go all over New York. You can even climb the highest skyscrapers like the Empire State Building or the Avenger Tower. Next would be sounds. For me, a good game has a mix between a great soundtrack, sound effects, and ambience. I think the best example would be Detroit Become Human. Because when you play as Marcus in the junkyard when he's thrown out, you could barely hear anything. It felt as if something was clogging your ears and you couldn't do anything about it. And that's because Marcus the android was missing his audio processor. So you spend that entire chapter scavenging for parts that he's missing. And when you finally recover an audio processor, your hearing becomes clear. You can finally hear the heavy rain pelting the muddy ground. And last but not least is the story. A good game has a really interesting and dynamic story. The characters are more than their original archetypes, and they go beyond their stereotype. These characters are more than fiction. They're real people. There shouldn't be any Mary Sue or Gary Sue types of characters, in my opinion. And Mary Sue, if you're not familiar with that term, it's basically a fictional female character who has no flaws. She's perfect. Everything and perfect. For example, she has everyone who loves her, she has great looks, and she can fight demons apparently. And a Gary Sue is just a male version of that. It's better to have a cast filled with dynamic characters with many flaws to complement their positives, like having a happy-go-lucky jokester in the group who's always there to cheer everyone up, but he has a secret or a dark side to him that hardly anyone knows. That, in my opinion, is a well-rounded three-dimensional character. Bottom line, having a colorful cast filled with a variety of opinions and perspectives can make a story interesting and fun. You also can't have a good story without relationships. And by that I mean character relationships. What kind of relationships do these two characters have or share? Are they almost brothers, mentor and student, father and son? I think games that focus on relationships can be inspiring, depending on the approach. Great examples of games emphasizing relationships are God of War 4 on the PS4 and The Last of Us. For God of War 4, we have Kratos, the father figure, and his son, Atreus, go on a journey to spread the ashes of Atreus' mother. Well, that's all. Thanks for listening to my podcast. Hope to see you later.